I watched their smug faces turn to horror as I projected their text messages on the wall at my own birthday party. Time to expose the fake friend, they had written. Let's humiliate her in front of her new boyfriend. Funny how quickly the tables turned when they realized I knew everything, and had been planning my response for weeks. It started on a Tuesday evening in late September, the kind where summer still clings to the air, but darkness falls earlier, a perfect metaphor for what was about to happen to my so-called friendships. I was sitting at my kitchen counter, stirring honey into my chamomile tea, when my phone lit up with a notification. Melissa had created a new group chat called Sarah's 30th, Real Planning. Weird. We already had a group chat for my birthday party, the one that included me. I wouldn't have thought much about it except for the word real in all caps. Something cold settled in my stomach as I set down my spoon. The five of us, Melissa, Jade, Taylor, Caitlin, and me, have been friends since college. 10 years of birthdays, breakups, new jobs, and apartment moves. They were the constants in my life, the people who knew all my stories. Or at least, I thought they were. Hey, I think I got added to a group by mistake, I texted Melissa privately. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. OMG, sorry. Just a backup planning chat. Nothing secret, promise. But something in her too quick response felt off. Melissa, always so careful and organized, making a careless error like adding me to a secret planning group? It didn't track. I set my phone down and took a sip of tea, now lukewarm. My boyfriend Drew would be over in an hour. We'd been dating for 6 months, and he was the first guy I'd felt serious about in years. The first one who made me feel truly seen and valued. My friends had met him only twice, and both times their reactions had been polite. Too polite. The kind of polite that masks something else. He's so nice, Jade had said after our first double date, with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. And he clearly adores you, Taylor added in a tone that suggested surprise. I'd brushed it off. They were just being protective, I told myself. After all, they'd seen me through some spectacularly bad relationships. Like Eric, who cheated on me with his ex, or Michael, who borrowed money he never repaid. My friends had been there through all the tears and ice cream therapy sessions. They'd earned the right to be cautious. But as I stared at the notification for this new group chat, something didn't feel right. I glanced at the time. Drew wouldn't be here for a while. Before I could talk myself out of it, I opened the chat. So we're all clear on the plan, Melissa had written. We act normal in the main chat with Sarah, but plan the real stuff here. I still feel bad, Taylor had replied. Is this really necessary? Trust me, Jade chimed in. Once she sees those old photos, she'll thank us. Drew is just using her. No guy that hot dates someone like Sarah without an agenda. My hands started shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. Someone like Sarah. The words echoed in my head like a slap. I have the college pics ready, Caitlin wrote. The ones from freshman year before she lost weight, plus the ones from Jake's party where she got wasted and cried in the bathroom for hours. Perfect, Melissa replied. We'll make it part of the birthday slideshow. Drew needs to see the real Sarah, not this confident version she's pretending to be. I set my phone down on the counter, feeling like I might throw up. The real Sarah. As if the person I'd become in the last few years, someone who finally felt comfortable in her own skin, who had worked through years of anxiety and insecurity, was just an act. The doorbell rang, startling me. I wiped hastily at my eyes and went to let Drew in. Hey, beautiful, he said, leaning in to kiss me. Then he pulled back, his smile fading. What's wrong? You've been crying. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to brush it off, to pretend everything was fine. That's what the old Sarah would have done, avoided conflict, swallowed her feelings, made herself smaller to accommodate others. But I wasn't that person anymore. I need to show you something, I said, leading him to the kitchen counter where my phone still displayed the group chat. Drew read in silence, his expression darkening with each message. When he finished, he looked up at me, eyes blazing with a protective anger I'd never seen before. These are your friends? He asked quietly. I thought they were. My voice sounded small, even to my own ears. He set the phone down and pulled me into a hug. I'm so sorry, Sarah. No one deserves friends who talk about them like that. I let myself cry then, soaking the front of his shirt. Not just for the betrayal I just discovered, but for all the years I'd spent trying to be good enough for people who clearly didn't value me, who saw my growth not as something to celebrate, but as a threat. What do you want to do? Drew asked after I'd calmed down. Cancel the party? I pulled away and wiped my eyes, a strange calm settling over me. No, I said. I don't think I will. Something must have changed in my voice, because Drew studied my face carefully. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, I said slowly, that if they want to expose the real me, maybe it's time I expose the real them. For the next 3 weeks, I acted completely normal. I responded in the main group chat about party details. I met Melissa for coffee and listened to her fake enthusiastic party ideas. I even went shopping with Jade for a new dress, smiling as she subtly guided me toward unflattering options. This would look so good on you, she insisted, holding up a lime green dress with an awkward peplum that would have made me look like a deflated balloon. Maybe, I said non-committally, before selecting a simple black dress that actually fit my body perfectly. The disappointment that flashed across her face confirmed everything. Meanwhile, I was gathering evidence. It wasn't hard. Once I knew to look, I saw years of subtle undermining I'd missed or excused. The backhanded compliments, the way they'd talk up my exes who treated me poorly but found fault with anyone who actually respected me, how they'd reminisce about old Sarah as if my former insecurity had been my most endearing quality. And the texts. There were so many texts. The separate group chat continued to be active, and I took screenshots of everything. They had an elaborate plan for my birthday. The slideshow of unflattering photos, strategically invited guests who knew embarrassing stories about me, even a toast where Melissa planned to share cute stories that were actually designed to make me look pathetic in front of Drew. She'll probably cry and run to the bathroom like she always used to, Caitlin had written. Some things never change, but some things do change. I had changed, and it was time they saw that. 2 days before my birthday, they made their critical mistake. Melissa was coordinating final details and accidentally sent a screenshot of their planning chat to the main group that included me. She deleted it almost immediately, but not before I saw it. "OMG, sorry, wrong chat," she wrote, followed by a string of laughing emojis. "No worries," I replied, adding a laughing emoji of my own. "Can't wait for Saturday." That evening, I called my cousin Rachel, who had always been more of a true friend than any of these four. "I need your help," I told her, explaining everything. "And I need to borrow your projector." The night of my birthday party arrived. I'd chosen a rooftop venue at a downtown hotel. Expensive, but worth every penny for what I had planned. I arrived early with Drew and Rachel to set up. The space looked beautiful, string lights crisscrossing overhead, the city skyline glittering behind us, a small stage area where Melissa had insisted we needed proper space for the presentations. Little did she know what kind of presentation was coming. I wore the black dress I'd bought with Jade, my hair styled in loose waves, a confidence in my posture that came from knowing exactly what was about to happen. Drew squeezed my hand as the first guests began to arrive. "You sure about this?" he asked quietly. I nodded. "Absolutely." Melissa arrived with a large tote bag that I knew contained her laptop and the slideshow. She hugged me with theatrical enthusiasm. "Happy birthday, babe! 30 looks amazing on you." Her smile was bright, but didn't reach her eyes. I'd seen that smile so many times before, and mistaken it for genuine affection. "Thanks for coming," I said, hugging her back. "And for all your planning. I know you've put a lot of work into tonight." Something flickered across her face. Guilt? Anticipation? Before she masked it with another smile. Anything for my best friend. The party filled up quickly. About 40 people, some genuine friends from work, neighbors, Drew's friends, and family members I actually liked. And of course, the 4 who thought they were orchestrating my humiliation. I watched them huddled together near the makeshift stage, whispering and glancing my way. Caitlin kept checking her phone, probably reviewing the embarrassing photos they planned to share. Taylor looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Jade was smiling like a cat who'd cornered a mouse. After everyone had arrived and had a drink in hand, Melissa clinked her glass with a spoon. "Could I have everyone's attention, please?" she called out. "We have a special presentation for the birthday girl." The crowd gathered around as Melissa connected her laptop to the projector. I stood beside Drew, who put his arm around my waist supportively. "Sarah and I have been friends for 10 years, Melissa began, her voice syrupy sweet. "And in that time, I've collected some pretty amazing memories. We thought it would be fun to take a little trip down memory lane." Before she could click to the first slide, I stepped forward. "Actually, Melissa, if you don't mind, I prepared something too." A flicker of confusion crossed her face. This wasn't in her script. "Oh, sure, we can do yours after." "I think mine should go first," I said firmly, pulling a USB drive from my clutch. "It sets the tone for the evening." Before she could object, Rachel stepped up and took the USB, plugging it into the laptop. Melissa stepped back, clearly flustered but trying to maintain her composure. "Of course," she said with a tight smile. "It's your birthday." I turned to face the gathered guests. "Thank you all for coming tonight. It means so much to have people here who truly care about me." I emphasized the word truly just slightly. "Before we celebrate, I wanted to share something important. Something about friendship, loyalty, and growth." I nodded to Rachel, who clicked to start my presentation. The first slide appeared on the wall, a screenshot of the real planning group chat, the one where Jade had written, "No guy that hot dates someone like Sarah without an agenda." A confused murmur rippled through the crowd. Melissa's face drained of color. "For those who can't read the small text," I said calmly, "this is a group chat my friends created specifically to plan how to humiliate me tonight, in front of all of you, but especially in front of my boyfriend." I clicked to the next screenshot. This one showed Caitlin's message about the photos from freshman year before she lost weight, and me crying at a party. They collected unflattering photos, embarrassing stories, and planned to present them as a birthday gift. The goal was to show Drew the real me, the insecure, anxious person I used to be, the person they apparently preferred to who I am now. The room had gone completely silent. I could feel every eye on me, then shifting to the 4 women who stood frozen by the stage. Sarah, this is completely out of context, Melissa started, her voice high and tight. We were just what? I interrupted, clicking to the next screenshot. This one showed her own words. Drew needs to see the real Sarah, not this confident version she's pretending to be. Is this out of context too? I asked. Because it seems pretty clear to me. Jade stepped forward, anger flashing in her eyes. You're making us look like villains. We were trying to protect you. From what? I asked. From being happy? From growing into someone who doesn't need your approval anymore? He's using you, Jade snapped, pointing at Drew. Guys like him don't date girls like you. The room collectively inhaled. She'd said the quiet part out loud. Girls like me, I repeated slowly. And what kind of girl am I, Jade? She faltered, suddenly aware of how many people were watching. I didn't mean. Yes, you did, I said. You meant exactly that. You've all made it very clear what you think of me. And for years, I believed it. I thought I was lucky to have friends who tolerated me, who included me despite all my flaws. I clicked through more screenshots. Years of subtle digs and text messages, plans they'd made without me while claiming I was too busy, comments about my appearance, my choices, my relationships. The sad thing is, I continued, I defended you to everyone. When people asked why I stayed friends with people who treated me like a project instead of a person, I made excuses for you. I said you were just protective, that you wanted what was best for me. I turned to look directly at the four of them. Melissa was pale and rigid. Jade looked furious. Taylor had tears streaming down her face. Caitlin was staring at the floor. But friends don't plan to humiliate each other. Friends celebrate growth instead of punishing it. Friends lift each other up instead of keeping each other small. I clicked to the final slide. It was a photo of the 5 of us from college, arms around each other, smiling. We looked so young, so unaware of how things would change. I'm grateful for the good times we had, I said, my voice softening slightly. But I've outgrown the dynamic where I accept scraps of affection in exchange for being your emotional punching bag. I deserve better. And honestly, so do you. I unplugged the USB drive and handed the laptop back to a shell-shocked Melissa. I think we can skip your slideshow now. I've seen enough old photos of myself to last a lifetime. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Rachel started clapping, followed by Drew, then gradually the entire room joined in. Not because public humiliation is something to celebrate, but because sometimes standing up for yourself is the only birthday gift that matters. Melissa tried to regain control. This is ridiculous, she sputtered. You're twisting everything to make yourself the victim. We've been nothing but supportive. Save it, I said quietly. The screenshots speak for themselves. You bitch, Jade hissed, grabbing her purse. Come on, girls, we don't need this. But Taylor hesitated. I'm sorry, Sarah, she said, her voice breaking. I should have said something. I knew it was wrong. Yet you didn't, I pointed out. Being sorry afterward isn't the same as doing the right thing when it counts. She nodded, tears still falling, and followed the others as they stormed out. Caitlin paused at the door, looking back at me with an unreadable expression before disappearing into the night. As soon as they left, the energy in the room shifted. People came up to hug me, to tell me how proud they were. My cousin Rachel brought over a fresh glass of champagne. To the new Sarah, she toasted. Though personally, I've always thought you were pretty great. The party continued, better than before. We danced, we ate cake, we laughed. Real laughter, not the kind tinged with tension and unspoken cruelty. Drew never left my side, his pride in me obvious to everyone. Later that night, as we were cleaning up, I found my phone buzzing with texts. Some from Taylor, apologizing again. One from Caitlin that simply said, "You're right, I'm sorry." Nothing from Melissa or Jade. Drew found me staring at my phone. You okay? I looked up at him, then around at the rooftop where I'd finally stood up for myself. Yeah, I said, I really am. And I was. Because sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is permission to leave behind the people who never wanted you to grow. It's been 6 months since that night. I won't pretend it was easy to lose friends I'd had for a decade, even toxic ones. There were moments of doubt, of loneliness, but there was also freedom. I've reconnected with old friends I'd neglected because Melissa and the others hadn't approved of them. I've made new friends through work and through Drew. People who value me for who I am now, not who I used to be or who they want me to stay. Taylor reached out again a month after the party. We met for coffee, and she admitted that the group dynamic had been toxic for years. We were all so insecure, she said. And when you started to change to become more confident, it was like you were leaving us behind. I wasn't leaving anyone behind, I told her. I was just finally catching up to myself. We're rebuilding our friendship slowly, on healthier terms. I don't know if I'll ever trust her completely again, but I believe in second chances when they're earned through genuine effort. Caitlin sent me a long email apologizing and explaining that she'd been dealing with her own insecurities by projecting them onto me. I appreciated her honesty, but decided that some relationships are better left in the past. I haven't heard from Melissa or Jade, and that's okay. Some people are in your life for a reason, some for a season. They were my season of learning what friendship isn't, so I could recognize what it is. Last week, Drew proposed. Not with some elaborate public gesture, but quietly. On a Tuesday evening, much like the one when this all began, We were in my kitchen, and I was stirring honey into my chamomile tea, a small ritual that now reminds me of how much has changed. I knew I wanted to marry you the night of your birthday party, he told me after I said yes. Not because you stood up to them, but because you finally stood up for yourself. Sometimes I think about the slideshow they planned to show that night, all those unflattering photos, those moments of weakness and insecurity they'd collected like weapons. And I realized that the girl in those photos brought me here, to this stronger, more authentic version of myself, who no longer accepts conditional love or backhanded compliments. She deserved better friends. And finally, she has them.